Hi, everybody. My name is John Semankiewicz. I'm with Beer Law Center. I've got just a couple of seconds today to tell you a little bit about us. We're one of the sponsors and speakers here at the virtual conference. We're a small law firm based in Raleigh, North Carolina, and we have devoted our practice to alcohol producers and sellers, breweries, wineries, meaderies, cideries, kombucha, you name it, we've worked on it before. If you have a question, give us a call. We don't charge for an initial consult, and if we don't have the answer, we'll help you find somebody who does. You can reach us at 919-335-5291. It's a telephone number. If you don't like that, just drop me an email at john@beerlawcenter.com, john@beerlawcenter.com, or find us on social media at Beer Law Center. We'd love to hear from you and we'll help you grow your business. Have a great day.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. I am super excited to be here. Today, I'm going to talk about maximizing event leads for your tasting room. And I apologize if you can hear my dog squeaking his toy in the background, but this is real life in my home office. So if you don't know me, my name is Melissa Buck. I actually run a small marketing agency for craft breweries called Hiccup. I'm currently based in Kansas City, Missouri. But my journey into craft beer actually started in San Diego. I decided I was going to move there and work for a craft brewery in a marketing department. And I did. It was a little bit more convoluted than that, unfortunately. I started as a beer tender and a tour guide for that mid-sized brewery. And they did not have a marketing department at all. So what I did was spend about 6 months observing the tasting room, kind of taking notes and seeing how they could increase their revenue. And then I presented that to the ownership and they hired me on the spot. It was great. So I started that marketing department and we built that up over, 4 years to maybe 4 or 5 full-time employees in the end and a few contractors. So it was a really awesome experience. I loved being in the brewery. I do miss it a little bit, but now I am on my own. And if it gives me any credibility, I still consult with them today. So 11 years later, they still like what I'm doing, and I still work with them in this atmosphere. So during my first few years there, I definitely lived your budget is your salary life, right? I say that because I understand very well the grassroots small business struggle that small to mid-sized breweries live and breathe every day. And over that 4 years, we went from an average of, I'd say, maybe 30,000 a month in revenue, and this is tasting room, to over 120,000 a month, which was largely in part thanks to the events programming that we kind of dialed in. So now, today, I have a completely systematic and largely automated approach that I apply to other breweries and other small businesses throughout the country. I'm also an active member and volunteer for Pink Boots, my local chapter. I love to throw that in. So first, let's go over a little summary of what we're going to cover today. We're going to touch on the why of events and why not. I'm going to break down my language around the types of events and then the types of leads. So we're just all speaking in a standard way because I know everybody talks about this a little bit differently. I'm going to touch on measuring success through an event programming system. And then finally, I'm going to leave you with a hopefully actionable takeaway that you can implement if you're not already doing. So let's set the scene. We're going to set a landscape of events. Of course, events can make a significant shift in your revenue. On-premise beer sales, I just read this through Brewbound, have declined overall in both dollar sales and volume, according to CGA. So this is absolutely more relevant than ever. Many tasting rooms, most tasting rooms, I dare to say, are underutilized in some way. You have the space already, so let's fill it. And it's easy to say. I'm sure everybody believes that. It's kind of the how do you do it part that gets us tripped up a little bit. But there are some negative considerations to events, and specifically private events. At least considerations to make, right? You're a brewery. You're not an event venue. And I very much respect this. There can be absolutely a potential loss in patrons, and regular tasting room patrons if you're regularly close to the public. And this is a delicate balance that it's important to keep in mind. You have to think about it and consider what works best for my brand and my business bottom line at the end of the day. So when I discuss events, I generally funnel them into two categories. The first category is brewery hosted events. These are events that you come up with and host yourself. The benefits here are that you have full control of the event. There's a branding opportunity. You're telling the narrative. You're in complete control. There's also the other side of that coin that it's a lot more work up front, right? You have to staff the event. You have to ideate, initiate, plan, schedule, promote, get people in. So not only are you doing that every day for your regular business, you now have another piece that you're trying to do that for. So these are events that every brewery is doing in some capacity, right? Your anniversary party, beer week events, all the way through things like beer pairings and trivia. You have weekly music bingo, and sometimes you're hiring out for that, but you're still scheduling, you're still promoting it. It's on your kind of weekday thing. So this is something that when I consult with breweries, most are familiar with this. This is what you're doing. And this is great. And you have to be doing it, and you should be doing it to build the culture of your everyday tasting room. So the next category that I talk about is private events. This is my bread and butter. And when I say private events, I generally mean events that use your space as a venue. Not necessarily a full buyout of your space, but they can be. Less work for you, right? As somebody else is hosting the event, somebody else is promoting that event if they need to. They're bringing the people in. They're bringing the money to you. You're just a beautiful brewery that they're going to buy beer at. It's wonderful. There's also the potential for more revenue. You're able to sell both the space with a venue fee, potentially, and the beer. So some examples of this, very specific to your space, of course, but some breweries host weddings, corporate events, holiday parties, fundraisers, events from DMCs, which we'll touch on a little bit later, concerts sometimes, comedy shows, birthday parties, military events, if that's relevant to your locale, rehearsal dinners, get a ton of baby showers, engagement parties, homebuyer seminars for local realtors, happy hours for offices, local businesses, and apartment complexes. All just is a laundry list of things you can do. And I would say that private events are where I focus 80 to 100%, depending on the client, of my efforts when contracted to come in and increase tasting room revenue for breweries, because it makes a huge difference. So just like I break down events into two different categories, I did the same thing with leads. And so we're on the same page. It's very similar to sales. This is sales. You have inbound leads, and these are requests that are coming to you. These people already know you exist. They're the best. How do you receive those? If you're hosting private events right now, if you're having birthday parties, retirement parties, anything similar to that, you likely have some sort of contact form on your website, and these people are finding you and filling out that form. They're also coming in via cold email or a cold call, or maybe they're walking up to your bartender and saying, I want to reserve your space. There's also third-party event spaces like Peerspace that you may be using to list your space. So that's you just out there. People are finding you and they're making an inquiry. Also, Pinterest is a a search engine. And I feel like people don't realize that it's super underutilized by venues and breweries to reach customers looking for inspiration for their event space. Obviously, you're probably hyper local, but I think there is just so much potential there that most people don't use. So how can you generate these types of leads if they're just coming to you? It's a great question. Inbound leads might be coming from word of mouth or regulars, right? They may be coming from your social media. They may be finding you on Google. These people are coming to you based on the work that you're already doing online and in person. So what else is there? You know, this is the basics, right? You are doing this. I believe it. You are making sure you have a great online presence. You're on social. You're on Google. Your information is correct. When you review your website, or if even better, an event landing page, you have photos of it, right? You know, a hot tip, have photos of your space with people in it. A lot of people are terrible at visualizing. They cannot see what it looks like for 10 or 25 people. And you would be shocked when people see a photo that they're like, oh yeah, I can see myself and my group of friends in that space. That's about how many people we have. This is perfect. It makes a difference. It can be the difference between somebody emailing you and not. On that same note, your contact form is very similar, right? What's your contact form like? You have to create a balance of asking the right questions, but not too many. I like to say no more than 2 clicks for somebody to submit a form. So for example, if I were to go to your website, maybe I'm clicking on events, and then right in my face is a form that I see that I can fill out if I'm interested. I also like to tell clients to pretend, you know, you're looking for a place to have an event in your area. Start Googling that. What comes up? Do you come up? Who's coming up? And what kind of words are you searching, right? Those are the key words that you need to focus on and think about when you're designing your online presence. So all of these things, these inbound leads, these requests, these are the types of requests that most breweries I encounter live on, which is totally fine. You should be absolutely do that. Take them. They're wonderful. But there's just so much more to be had. Which brings us to outbound leads. So these are, just like in sales, requests that you need to work to get. And generating these comes with a lot more than just here I am, come to me, right? So some ideas for lead generation in the outbound realm. You can work with local businesses in your area. So maybe it's a nearby apartment complex. You can email their manager, or even better, walk in and see their manager in person and say, hey, here's my brewery down the street. How about we do a happy hour for your residents? Or do you offer a welcome package for your tenants? We did a beautiful welcome package partnership where we provided a glass growler empty and a coupon that we designed for a free fill. And that was a focal point of their little welcome gift, where they got small things from all the local businesses to new tenants. And guess what? Those tenants get that welcome gift. They come in. Of course, they get their, complimentary fill, which was actually paid for by the apartment complex in advance. So it was that act was revenue generating, which is amazing. And then, of course, the tenant is coming in, and while they're getting their growler filled, they're having a pint or two. They're getting to know the bartender. And now, not only do we have that, we have this new regular, And now you're joining our email list. I'm going to get your birthday on my email list. And now, we host private events, and this snowball effect occurs from every one of these small interactions. Local neighborhood associations are another good place to start. You can host happy hours for them, just getting involved in them. There's a neighborhood board, knowing you're around and having those kinds of people and the other businesses that are involved in your community being a support system is really beneficial. Nonprofits is another huge one. I love to have people match, the nonprofit. If they have something they're passionate about, wonderful, or something that matches the brewery's mission, that's obviously ideal. If you're dog friendly and you like dogs, dog fundraisers are fantastic. Everyone wants to come to them. It's a great time. You donate your space in, and then you take the beer sales, right? And you have hundreds of people coming to your venue. And once again, this is a snowball effect of now I have all of these word of mouth of the space itself from very low effort, finding and giving my space. And oh darn, I have to have 100 people in my tasting room on Monday. This is awful. You can also use partner referrals with mutually beneficial business relationships. So this is where I like to talk about DMCs. I think that this is something not a lot of breweries utilize. DMC, if you're not familiar, is a destination management company. And essentially, these are middlemen event planners for very large corporations. So we've had Google and Toyota come in. Google and Toyota are not going to email you. They're just not. But a DMC will email you on their behalf because they hire a totally separate company to do all of that work for them. So with that in mind, I go to DMCs. You should go to DMCs in your city and host their sales teams. Give them a tasting, give them a tour, show them your venue, show them how unique it is and how cool it is and how embedded in the community you are. And tell them your narrative, tell them your story, get them into it so that they can do that same thing when these clients come in and you're giving them a unique place to host these customers that's not a hotel, right? Like that is cool. Oh, we can smell the beer brewing. This is so neat. We're going on a brewery tour. This is so unique. They love it. Build those relationships. This is all sales, right? I have a few DMCs that have my salespeople that have my phone number and text me once a week. Just one line of text. Can I do this on this date for this amount of money? Yes, absolutely. I would love to do that. And it is absolutely possible for you to form those relationships. And it's likely that not many, if any, breweries nearby are doing that same thing because this is a very like hotel and event sales piece of the pie that a lot of breweries don't touch. Same goes for caterers. If you don't have a kitchen in-house, of course, a lot of the breweries that I work with don't. So we will find caterers that are good, that have some, great reviews people love. And then we form that relationship with them. We kick them events. Oh, this rehearsal dinner needs food and we don't provide food. So you can bring whatever you want, but we'd really recommend this vendor. And they're going to do the same, right? They have relationships with customers as well that love them or love their food. And maybe they need a different venue. Maybe they've been going to this hotel and they're reaching out to that caterer and now they're going to bring you business as well. Alternatively, or maybe not alternatively, in addition, there's also a lot of manual research and outreach that can be done. And when I'm talking about this, I'm generally talking about, let's say, convention centers. Convention centers can be wildly expensive to advertise with, and I'm very well aware of that. And a lot of places don't have the budget to do so. But what you can do is manually go into their public facing schedule and see what conventions are coming up. They're not going to list the private conventions, but you'll have plenty to work with. Make a calendar of those conventions. Find a vendor map. Usually it does exist. It may take a little bit of work. And then start reaching out. Reach out to those exhibitors and those vendors, because those are the people that, every once in a while a convention comes into town and you're going to get a one-off email like, oh, hey, we're in town for this XYZ. Those people have found you, right? But you can find them. You can do that other end of the work and come up with a template email, scrape for those leads, and then just start sending them out months in advance. And yeah, this is tedious, right? This is absolutely tedious work, but it's worth it. You can also do, I spent a lot of time in October and November doing local office outreach, right? So I'm going to find every office within 5 miles and find their, admin coordinator or what have you, whoever plans their holiday parties or their events, and just reach out like, hey, have you thought about us? We do holiday parties. You want to come in? I'll give you some tasters. Let me show you around. Let me show you the space. Have you been here before? And even better than that is reaching out earlier in the year and doing a similar thing. But hey, have you ever thought about having an office happy hour? We'd love to host you. We have an opening on Wednesday from 4 to 6, and you can pick a beer. It's $1 off, and you can do something new each month, once a month, right? Now you have that relationship with them. Of course, they're having their holiday party there. And finally, paid digital ads. So this 20% of outbound leads is truly where I spend most of my efforts and get most of my results. It's much more instant gratifying. And when I talk about this, it's Meta, it's Facebook and Instagram ad lead generation, essentially. So now you're generating so many leads. You have so many leads. What are you going to do with them? This is a whole, it's a whole nother complex topic, right? You need a system for organization and sales of your events leads. After, years of generating leads and selling events, I have a pretty dialed in, pretty automated ecosystem that I built and use for all of my clients. It's what I call my poor man's Triple C. Sorry, Triple C, love you. Your software is incredible, but I can't afford it for every client. So I built my own and it's free for me. So there's no reason, of course, I've done this for a long time, but there's no reason that you can't also use a manual version of a Google Sheet import system yourself, right? You can absolutely build that. So in this, you can kind of see a little screenshot of what this looks like for me. This is what I spend every day in. But it's important to see at a glance where every lead is in the pipeline, from new lead to I've sent 1 email, I've sent 2 emails. This person hasn't responded at all. This is kind of pending. We're in talks. Am I waiting on something? At a glance, you can't really tell here, but it's all color coded. I can see exactly where it is. I know when I talk to each lead last, the entire thing's organized by date of event. So I'm talking to the most important, most upcoming events soonest. You could also track reasons why events canceled or didn't book. I found this to be really beneficial to me. This can point out, obviously, inefficiencies in my sales pipeline, in my ads. It can point out opportunities in the brewery, if we're seeing a lot of outside factors. How are we okay, this is clearly a hurdle, right? We've got 5 canceled events or unbooked events this month, and they actually told us why, and this is the reason. So tracking that is incredible. It's so useful. And in addition to that, how are my outbound leads measuring up to my inbound leads? So on my sheet, on every lead that I add, it has, where did this come from, right? Is this lead from my Facebook ad, or did this lead come from my website? And of course, when I'm running digital Facebook ads, I have track analytics through Facebook, of course, right? I know how well that ad is doing according to Facebook. I know how much each lead costs me. And according to that metric, the ad is doing well, right? Like the creative must be good. People are clicking on it. They're filling out my form. I'm getting 60 leads. This is great. This A+ performance, wonderful. But when I look at the sheet and now I'm looking at the conversion side on what it actually means to us and how much we're making from these, if these aren't converting, or if, oh gosh, the last 5 Facebook ad leads that I have were like 10-person birthday parties with no bar minimum, or none of these leads actually followed up and booked, then actually something's wrong. Then the quality of the lead isn't good. Maybe the ad's good enough to capture somebody slightly interested but not ready to book, right? It just gives you this world of analytics that you wouldn't otherwise have, that you can really look at and track. And I'm extremely passionate about data-driven decisions, right? And how I love looking at this stuff so much. So I would say, if you take away one thing from this, if you're looking for a way to generate more private event leads, get brave and run a Facebook ad, right? Like you can absolutely do it. You can start with a $5 per day ad. You can use a simple photo or video of the space. I love to you can absolutely record this with your iPhone. I love to do like a video walkthrough of the space, preferably when people are in it, but you can work with what you got. Give it a go. You don't need to get in the weeds with your audience initially if you've never done anything like this before. There's no reason. You're a brick and mortar business, so use geographical targeting. If you have somebody capable and you have the budget, there are really advanced ways to target people who are, actively looking for event spaces, as well as retargeting to warm leads, but totally unnecessary. You don't have to do that. You can get started if you have a very basic understanding of Facebook ads. And I think that it can make a big difference for you. And I've also had very good luck, or just a great experience in general with the form lead ads on Facebook. And I would recommend you use them if you are brand new to this and just want to give it a shot. And my last statement is that a focused effort on outbound event lead generation, whether that is Facebook and other things, or just Facebook, I'd say start with Facebook, get an ad running, try it for a couple weeks, and then set a goal of each month trying one little outbound effort. I'm just going to focus on office happy hours. I want to get one office happy hour set up this month. Set attainable goals in that way. I want to have one salesperson come in this month from some DMC. Doesn't matter which one, just one, starting with those kind of attainable goals. And if you do that every month, even every month, I promise you, this will snowball and it can produce a significant amount of revenue. Maybe not today or tomorrow, but you will absolutely thank yourself in a year. So that's it. I love talking about this stuff so much, and I would love to chat more. If you ever have any questions or want to hop on a call or a Zoom, I'm here for it. I couldn't love anything more than hearing about people's situations or what they tried or haven't tried and kind of brainstorming. It is my favorite thing to do. If you email me and mention CBP, I would just love to chat. And I just want to thank CBP for having me. This has been my first time doing this with them, and I am so appreciative. And an extra thank you to John from the Beer Law Center, because he's the one that really connected me to CBP, and I am just so appreciative. So I hope you got something out of this. I'd love to hear your feedback, and I'd love to chat more. All right. Thank you.